let's leave everything we are doing right now to concentrate on this training session. I'm sure you are going to enjoy it. What we are just doing today is to wrap up what we did in the last weeks. Don't forget, our topic, what we are considering, is how much exactly do I need to fund the type of life that I would love to live at retirement? How much exactly do I need? We went and drilled down to what we call defined ambition. You remember? But today I want us to conclude by letting us know that desire is never enough. Desire is never enough. Ambition, defined ambition, is like a desired state. It's like the state that you will love to be. You know, I love it when I saw someone say, I would love to spend 5 billion. I would love to, what I need to have the life that I want to live at retirement is 5 billion. But when you now drill down and you discover that to be able to amass 5 billion for the remaining work life that you have to work, you need to contribute about 1 million every month. 1 million every month to be able to have the 5 billion that you need to have the kind of life that you want to enjoy at retirement and for the length of years you want to live at retirement. So that is very simple. That is about ambition. But desire is never enough. Your desire state is never always the perfect state. It's never also always an achievable state. Okay, so what are we trying to look at here now is we now rejig our figures to look at the reality. This is the desire state, and then to get the reality, we did a reverse engineering on this is how much I can contribute, and okay, this is how much I have, and what if I pull it backward to what is achievable. Now we are going to look at a second level of reverse engineering today, and so that we will also understand that desire and ambition is never enough. You can have a dream. Everyone can dream of skyscrapers. Everyone can dream of all the kind of enjoyment that we want to enjoy. But beyond that, we have to drill it down to what is achievable. What is achievable? As you can see here, by desire, this estimate I gave means I desire to live 60 years after retirement more, and then 2.7 million is needed to enjoy the kind of life that I have defined here, very standard. However, after designing this, 2.7 million is the total that will make me to be able to live 60 years more for 60 years more for the number of years that I intend, for the kind of life that I want to live. Now, come to the reality. Now, having looked at that, so that was very, very unachievable, and we now did what we call a reverse engineering to say what is achievable. And then we look back and we said, okay, with what is achievable, we can have 256, less than almost about 10-15% of what I need to live is what I am able, if I'm going to be very sincere with myself. Now, there is another way of doing reverse engineering, and that's what we'll be looking at today. Now, and every one of us is here. Only one person said desire is never enough. To define an ambition is very easy. You know, when the first day we started 2 Saturdays ago, I was just smiling when I saw the figures people were dropping, 2 billion, 5 billion, 3 billion. Anybody can build a skyscraper in the sky, okay? But when it comes to putting it to the ground and putting the foundation and putting the blocks and putting the bricks and putting the cements, that's when you discover that skyscrapers may not be the best place for you, really. And so we want to do a more realistic estimation now, and that is, and I'm going to be asking you this question. Okay, so for a more realistic estimation, the question I'll be asking you now is how much, beginning from, with all good intention, with every drive, with all the knowledge that you now have, how much do you think realistically you can contribute every month towards your retirement, whether it is enforced? One of the things that we also learn is that some of us, our employer does retirement planning for us. It's never enough. And that is why the current Pension Reform Act allows you to do what we call voluntary contribution. That is, if you want a lifestyle that you'll be able to gather 200 million, and your employer is contributing just employee contribution every month is about 100,000. That 100,000 will not do you for the next 2 years. You have to retire. And so what do? You make additional voluntary contributions so that you can beef it up to get what you are getting. Let me start by asking, how many of us currently have a retirement savings account? That means our have keyed into the National Retirement Pension Reform Act. And so they contribute while you contribute, and you have the employer-employee contribution. If you have, give me a 3 in the chat room. 3 in the chat room. If you currently have an RSA that is being funded every month by yourself and your employer, give me a 3 in the chat room. Quickly, I will. With that, please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. Please, who is that? Alade. Please, let's learn to always come into meetings and be muted, okay? Sorry for the break in transmission. So if you have an RSA, please, your employer and it's being funded every month by your employer and yourself, please give me a 3 in the chat room. In case I missed it when my network went off, please resubmit it. I've not seen any. So give me a 3 in the chat room if you have an employee funded RSA. Okay, FiMwYA has. I want more. I believe it can't be just only one person. Okay, Babajide has. Oh, again, if you have a funded and regularly funded RSA, yes, on hold for like 2 years. Okay, wow. If Former 2 has, Oluwatosin has been on hold, Chidima has. Okay, beautiful. So we have a few people. Now, what we are saying is that if your employer and your employee company is like 50,000 naira in a month, and you know that to meet your minimum expected state, you need to do like 120,000, then you need to do what we call voluntary contribution. The Pension Reform Act also gives room for that. You can do voluntary contribution and do your 70,000 additional to the 50 that you and your employer are contributing every month as voluntary, and so it will accumulate and give you what you actually will be minimum that you need for the remaining of your work year. So let me now take the next thing. Now, I'm let me now ask us, how much do you think? Before I do that, let me copy this sheet again. Let me copy this sheet again. Shift Control End. How many of us need Excel training? How many of us need Excel training? You need to be trained. You need to know Excel. You either don't know it, or you just know is to type and get your output. You cannot do calculation. You cannot do a lot of things. Okay, so I'll think about giving us a thing on Excel, at least. At least maybe fundamentals and intermediates. Okay, I'm going to show you a few. Okay, how this sheet is not on the platform. I will have shown you a few macros that you can develop and they are just very simple. All you just need to do is to know it. If you don't know it, it will look very difficult. Okay, so let's go on now. Now, I want every one of us here, give me how much you think, both for those of you that are your employer are contributing now, and for those of you that there is no contribution going on now, how much do you think realistically you can contribute every month to be able to towards retirement? How much realistically? So let's give our submissions in the chat room. How much realistically? Because we might also be following this through. Okay, because it's very important that we do these things so that our ambition will not be dashed, our hopes will not be dashed. How much realistically do you think you can afford to contribute every month towards your retirement? Quickly, drop it for me in the chat room. How much realistically do you think? 50,000, 70,000, 100,000. If your employer and you are currently contributing, you can add it up. So Jeffrey says 30,000, 30,000 from yourself alone, or do you have a current RSA that is running? Your employer contributes for you the normal pension, Reform Act regulated pension. If not, so if you do, add it to what you think you can on your own make as voluntary contribution, and let me have it. I want to tabulate it. Okay, 60,000 plus RSA. Okay, beautiful. So let me go back and update this sheet. So Jeffrey says I can contribute 60,000 in a month. Please let the rest of us submit. If you currently have an RSA, add what you are contributing currently with your employer plus additional voluntary contribution that you can make. That's the figure I will expect you to submit. Are we in the house? Okay. Babajide say 400,000. So do I have your name before now? Okay, Babajide, both from employer, employee, and voluntary contribution 400,000. Okay, I'm waiting for the rest of us. 100,000 monthly because I do not have an RSA. The deduction still taken from my salary but not remitted. Yes, go and read the Pension Reform Act, and anonymously, if your employer is deducting money from you and they are not crediting your account, write anonymous letter to National Pension, the Director General, National Commission, write state your employer, the address, and state that for social period of time they have been deducting, but your RSA is not credited. It's a criminal law, and they are liable to terms under the law. So So please, in case your employer is like that, please kindly report it under anonymity. Ruti said 100,000 towards RSA, towards retirement savings. Please, let's submit. If I have two more, I will just proceed and use those as my example for today. Okay, Omawumi 20,000. Okay, 20,000. Now I'm going to ask you again. Just give me these informations. Okay. For Jeffrey, Babajide, Ruti, Omawumi, how many more years do you have to work? How many more years do you have to work? Please give me a number of years. How many more years do you have to work? So here will be this times 12. So that's how much this your contribution will give you in a year. So quickly, give me Ruti has 27 more years to work. Omawumi 24. Babajide and Jeffrey, how many more years do you have to work? Dr. Ayodele, you didn't submit the information I asked you. Dr. Ayodele, let me give you a chance. How much can you contribute every month towards your retirement savings? In case you already have your employer contributing now, add that one to a voluntary contribution that you will make. If you don't have your employee contributing, just give me the figure you are able to contribute moving from. Okay. Babajide and Jeffrey, how many more years do you have to work? Babajide has 20 more years to work. Jeffrey, those of you that are giving me information you didn't give me from the beginning. Informal, you didn't give me your information from beginning. How much plus your employee contribution plus an additional amount, voluntary, how much can you contribute in a year? Quickly, so that I can add you. Dr. Ayodele, how much can you contribute in a year? Sorry, in a month towards your retirement savings. In case you already have your RSA running, add the figure every month to an additional voluntary contribution. Quickly, let's not waste so much time. Our time is running very fast. You know, when we are doing this kind of thing, because we have to take input directly from you, it takes time, and we still need to show us what we need, what we want us to learn today. So, who is this? Dr. Ayodele, how much can you contribute every month towards your retirement on your own, plus the one that you currently are enjoying in case you are? Okay, if Ifeoma say 200,000. Okay, Dr. Ayodele, while we wait for you. So, okay. Line Dr. Ayodele has posted her, so but I cannot see it. Can see it. Oh, okay, 20. Okay, I've seen it. Okay, so here, so you can see what that come to in a year for you. Okay, so the next thing we want to do, let me freeze pane. The next thing I want to do here, let me freeze panes. Where's my view? Freeze panes. Okay. Okay, so now you can go down. Don't want the, okay, beautiful. So now, don't worry, for now, we are working from here. This is for people who submitted now. So we are working from here. This area that I've colored is where we are working now. Jeffrey did not give me how many more years he has to retire. So now we already know how much this will come to for us in a year. Okay. And then for the number of years that we have to retire, for the number of years, okay, 21. For the number of years that we have to retire, you have 21 more years to retire, and for every year you are contributing this. So you have this times this, okay? Jeffrey, all you can have based on this estimation towards your retirement is about 15 million. Babajide, you can have as much as 96 million. Ruti, you can have as 32.4 million, Omawumi 5.7 million, Dr. Ayodele 15 million, Ifeoma 36 million. Now, how many years do you want to live more after you retire? Don't worry, we are doing an estimation, so don't think you will die after the number of years you state. How many years do you want to live? You have 21 more years, like Jeffrey has 21 more years to retire. After, at the point of that 21 years, how many more years do you want to live when you retire? So let the 6 of you submit it. Jeffrey, Babajide, Ruti, Omawumi, Dr. Ayodele, and Ifeoma, how many years do you want to live at retirement? Quickly. So you can see we are doing at a different number of years, 40, Babajide 40, Ruti 40. We are doing a different kind of reality vision now. Okay, Jeffrey, you have 21 more years before you will retire. After you retire, how many years do you want to live more before you die? It's an estimate. It's just for planning purpose. Okay, I'm going to need to say 40. Okay, I've seen it from Jeffrey, Dr. Ayodele, and Ifeoma. How many more years you want to live after retirement? Okay, Jeffrey wants to live 25 more years after retirement. Dr. Ayodele and Ifeoma. For those of us who are people of faith, don't think it tampers with your faith. It's just, this is what you do in planning, okay? And so you need figures to plan. Okay, Dr. Ayodele, 30. Ifeoma, I need yours now. So now, for you, if you have 15 million, and let's put our current balance at 0. I want to assume that we are not contributing. It's not correct, but that's an assumption. Now, for this, Ifeoma, I need your figure. Now, with this amount, based on all the information you have provided, means that, Jeffrey, you will have just 600,000 to spend every year. Babajide, you will have 2.4 million to spend every year. Ruti, you have 800,000 to spend every year. Omawumi, 140,000. Ifeoma, you will have Dr. Ayodele, 500,000. Ifeoma had not told me how many years she wants to spend after retirement. Let me guess, 30 years. So that's 1.2 million. So this figure here is what is available for you to be spent every year, not every month, after retirement. So when you also look at this, it will give you like this, divide by 12. So every month, 50,000 for Jeffrey, every month 200,000 for Babajide, every month 67,000, every month 12,000, every month 41,000, every month for Ifeoma 100,000. So this is the reality of what you can spend every month and every year, based on now how much you think you can contribute. Because the truth is that if you can only imagine, you can only have an ambition until the reality of how much you are willing to put towards retirement dawns on you, you will not be able to get an accurate figure. So let's look like for me now, I think like every month I can do 500,000. Okay. Okay. Let me just come here and do for myself. Just all of these are just based on assumptions. Also, don't forget, I will not change it. I want to live 60 years after my retirement. And I have, like I said, I will have to work more. So I want to still work 25 years. Then I'm willing to contribute 800,000 every month towards retirement. So you can see what this is giving to me. All the figures are computed. That means at retirement, I will have up to 330,000 naira to spend at retirement every month, and every year about 4 million, and for the entire period, because I am willing and I am able, not willing. I can ensure that between starting from today, starting from next month, I will contribute a minimum of 800,000 every month towards my retirement. So this is the most appropriate reality. Okay. So, and based on that, you can see how good life can be at retirement or how otherwise is going to be. It is not a prediction, it's not a prophecy, it's just telling you what the reality on ground has shown you. And so if, for example, things change next year and then you hit a business and you have passive income and things change, you can come and change the dynamics and okay, I'm able to do additionally 1.2 million every month. I can see the dynamics have changed. That means I'm going to be able to accumulate 360 million by the time I'm retiring, and I'm able to have 6 million every year to spend and 500,000 every month. And so realistically, that is saying, okay, this is your ambition, the lifestyle you intend to have here after retirement is not achievable. And so you have to bring it down slightly. Okay, you have to bring it down. Once every 2 years, travel for 4 days, you're already taking it out. Once in 2 years, travel for Mogo is taken out. So everything you need to concentrate on now will have to be self-care. We have to be self-care, feeding, healthcare, feeding, healthcare, feeding, healthcare, feeding, healthcare. That means that is all that you have to concentrate on. So you can see what, and that's why the difference between the life you want to enjoy at retirement and the life that you enjoy in reality, the difference, who is unmuted again? The difference will just be in how well you have planned your life. That is what is going to be different. How well have you planned your life? How early did you start to plan? You can imagine with this same template, assuming I started planning from the day I started work, which will have been more. Maybe I started very early. The moment I got job, I started my retirement planning. And so I have 40 years to work. You can see 40 years have made a lot of difference here. And with 40 years, I have almost $1 million every year to spend. You understand? And so I have more years to accumulate what I need to accumulate towards my retirement. Okay. So one of the things that will affect how you live, how you are going to live at retirement, how early you start planning, and how many more years you have to work. And let me tell you the truth. Person who want to work more for 25 years. If I ask you now, what's your age? Anybody doing 27 here now that wants to work for 24? Anybody here that wants to work for 27 years, I need to know your age. Your age, for example, You want to work for additional 27 years, and you're already 30 years. Okay, that is 57. Not bad, not too bad. Okay, but if you want to work additionally for 27 years, okay, and you already fought, you already work for let's say, sorry, you're already 40 years old, and you want to work for additionally 27 years plus 40, 67, you sure know that it's going to be very difficult, because you are going to be working and sweat bitterly. Okay, so for this number of years too, we must make it realistic to make sure that we are not just putting figures. Compare, we add your age to the number of years that you still want to work more. And if it does not give you anything around 60 to maximum 65, then if it gives you 50, best. If it gives you anything below 60, below 50, oh, sweet. That means this can, any planning to work below 50 years now means you must really be very young. That means, and you are getting this knowledge on time. But for those of us who have already hit our 30s, and you are planning to retire at 50, oh, you must be into something very dependent on reliable, or really praying very well. Okay, because you are 30, you want to retire at 50, you have just 20 years to retire, and then you ask yourself, how much can I contribute every month towards my retirement planning? By the time you put this figure there, you will know how much you remember that I plan to, I think 7 more years, or what did I put initially? If I still have my figure here, my plan was to work 7 more years. Okay, no, I think 5 more years. I plan to work 5 more years before, but when the reality dawned on me that if I work with what I have on ground, oh, retirement will be very, very not very, very sweet. So I had to say, oh, guy, just tell yourself the truth. You can work up to 65 years, 60 years, 65, so extend your number of years. But as you extend the number of years you want to work, make sure it's realistic. Don't attempt to say you want to work above 65 years. Government will not allow you, most governments and federal will not allow you to work for more than 60 years. But let's assume that you are not a government worker and you can still work 2 more. Maximum 65. If not, after 65, you know that you are going to pay almost every week or twice a week for coming to work late. And if you have an employer like mine, you know that after 3 attempts, then you're on your way to face insanity, and another 3 attempts, you're on your way out of the organization. So that's what we are saying. So whatever information you are providing here, let it be realistic. Let it be realistic. And as I round up, it's not just enough to learn this thing. It is very important that we practicalize it. It is very important that you make it real. Put on the sheet. Put your information on the sheet. Plan also the type of life you want to live, whether the reality or the intended. Plan it, and come with how much you need. Realistically, how much you need to amass to have the basic minimum lifestyle that you are able to afford the contribution today. Then you will begin to look at it every day. And as you move forward, if your expectation is, I can only contribute 50,000 a month, the moment you have more sources of income, you increase it and increase it, because the truth is that, don't forget, I said, I think I said it again last week, sweat is sweet. Sweat is sweet. The motto for my secondary school is no sweat, no sweet. Okay, so sweat is sweet. But let me tell you, sweat can only be sweet when you sweat early in life. So the earlier you start gathering this money now, the hunger you can manage now, at 70, you can't manage it again. They say you have malaria, you have money to treat it. At 70, if they say you have malaria and you don't treat it in 1 week, it's going to turn to something else. It's going to break you down. It's going to cause a lot of crisis in your body. And so there's many things you cannot play with at that point in time. But whether you joke with it or not, it's how much planning you are putting into your future. So I like to let people, I'm letting you know today that your today is not as important as your tomorrow. And that's why you can cut down on your expenses today. to have a better future, a better retirement, than to spend everything you can do now. Now you are growing muscles, you are growing pot belly. All of those are going to dry up very quickly at retirement, because if you cannot sustain it, it's definitely going to be very painful. And so you must understand these things. And the earlier, like I said in our message, in the message I used to invite you here, I said the best time to start planning was yesterday. And if you didn't start planning yesterday, the next best time to plan is today. So don't wait till tomorrow. Start thinking retirement. Start thinking about finance. Start thinking about your emotional stability at retirement. Start thinking about how you can manage your health towards retirement. Just start thinking about these things. So all of these things, so that everything can come together, both emotional, psychological, mental, financial, health, everything will just work together. You don't need so much money to live well at all, but there is a basic that you can afford to go below, and that is your feeding and your health care. And that's what we encompass to mean self-care and your health care. But more importantly, you need the psychological and physiological environment that will help you to be stable. You need to be to have prepared towards that pandemic that we talked about. And what is that pandemic called? It is called what? It is called retirement pandemic. You remember? What is that pandemic called? For those of you who were here in the first 2-3 teachings, what do we call that pandemic? That is definitely going to come after everyone at old age. Okay, nobody's typing out. Ruti has given us loneliness pandemic. Every one of us is going to be challenged by this loneliness pandemic, and it depends on how well you are prepared for it. Depends on how well you discover your passion now, how well you discover the things that you need to begin to prepare for, so that when loneliness pandemic strikes, you are already on top of it. When COVID-19 pandemic struck, many people died. Some people were jobless, but some people, that was the best time. Some businesses, that was their best time. Zoom that we are using today was its best year ever before then. Why? Because it had prepared the infrastructure needed to help people to live without moving out and yet survive it. Okay? So this loneliness pandemic is also going to come after you as you grow older, as you retire, and it is your preparation, early preparation, and preparation for both your psychology, your emotions, your health, that will help you to be able to manage and to stay afloat during this loneliness pandemic. And the truth is that it's going to last all life long from retirement. So once again, it's nice having you on this masterclass today. My name remains YEMI Ayodele, the lead mentor of the Financial Mentoring with YEMI Ayodele. Our goal is to raise 10,000 wealthy people in 5 years. And I'm privileged to know that you are thinking about this thing, and that's why you are here today. Make sure you don't miss it. Make sure you don't get caught, you are not caught napping. Make sure that wealth is in your mind. And don't forget that wealth does not start with money. Wealth begins with the mind. And until your mind gets wealthy, your pocket cannot be wealthy. Thanks for coming on this meeting. See you again for another amazing lecture next week, Saturday, as we continue to look at retirement. This is going to take us sometimes, and by the time we are done, and we'll launch our retirement club, and everyone that will want to be part of that retirement club, to be able to not just say this thing theoretically, to be able to together build a community of people who are already thinking about retirement, even from 30, from 40, from 45, from 35, from 60. You know, the time to begin to plan it and to be intentional about it is now. Thank you for coming on this meeting, and have a very wonderful time. But please, I'm going to appeal to every one of us between now and next week, Tuesday. Please prepare this, your realities. Prepare all of this, and in an Excel sheet. I have dropped the Excel sheet, a copy of it for you last week and the previous week. So prepare yours and send it to my email on OS Ayodele. I'm dropping my email now. in the chat room, osayodele@yahoo.com. So prepare your own Excel sheets and send it to me, please. I shouldn't be chasing you to have this. This is for your own benefits. I have done my part to train you, and I know that beyond training, we need to expand these things. We need to put these things to practice, and we need to see how it works, and we need to work together on it to make sure that it is attainable, it is achievable. And so I'm sending the sheet again for the updates that we had today, so you can save it and work on it for yourself. Make sure it is programmed for you. Don't do copy and paste. Your own can never be the same with my own, because I have a different income pattern, I have a different life ambition, I have a different dream for my retirement. I started earlier, maybe you are just starting tomorrow, maybe I didn't start earlier and you have started last year. You know, all of these dynamics are going to make this our work very differently. So don't copy and paste, work on your own and send it to my email between now and Tuesday. I'm going to work on it and reach back to you every one-on-one. I'm going to engage you, reach back to you, let you know what I think is not workable, let you know what I think you can do a little better, let you know how much more you can put into it that I'm not seeing in your plan. So thank you for coming. I hope to see your sheet and to my email next week between now and Tuesday. Don't wait until Tuesday. You can do yours now and send it to me. I'll review it and get back to you, and then we